As we consider the dilemmas that local police forces are going to be facing in all of these border towns dealing with this onslaught, I am so happy to have with me here today Brandon Tatum. Brandon is a former police officer. Brandon is a former police officer, and he, has a lot of experience on this front. Do you not, sir? Right there in Arizona, where I'm sure you had to deal with quite a bit of this.
Yeah, I've had I would say a plethora of different experiences here in Arizona. Obviously, being a football player, I would say a civilian in Arizona, seeing that perspective, and then becoming a police officer. So I was a police officer in 2011, and I left in 2017. So I had a pretty reasonable amount of experience and exposure, especially working in Tucson, which I would consider one of the biggest major border towns there in Arizona, which is the closest to the border, if I may add that part. So I had a lot of
And I want to
experience.
get into some of the specifics of it. By the way, everybody probably knows you maybe from your YouTube channel. I know that I used to have you on my Fox show, and of course, you are now at Salem Radio, a partner of mine. So it's great that you're doing all these things within the media, and that you've been speaking out, and you've been speaking out pretty aggressively. What do you think, basically, about what Arizona, Texas, and any of these communities are having to face right now, given how everything has just changed, right, with the repeal of Title 42?
It's a nightmare. I can't believe my eyes and what I'm seeing from our country. There's no way in the world that we should allow the border to be completely open the way it is. People should not be coming to our southern border by the hundreds of thousands to get into our country. We are doing something wrong. We have no idea who these people are. We have no idea, out of the number of people who are coming over here, who's just coming for a job and opportunity and who's coming for a nefarious gain. And so with all of the things that we've been doing. And I take my hat off to Donald Trump when he was in office. At least he was bold enough to make the claim to say we need to shut our southern border down. And it's not about race or none of that. It's about security in this country. So I'm blown away at the fact we're even having a conversation about our borders being wide open.
Yeah, I mean, we're all kind of blown away. I mean, you think about the Democrats 10 years ago, 20 years ago, heck, even pre-2016. Maybe it was just this idea of the wall, and they thought they could campaign against the wall. I don't know what happened, but they used to be very much in favor of saying we need a secure border because we need to protect the labor here in the U.S., the safety of the people living here in the U.S. And it's all been thrown out the window. I guess it's politics, but what's the danger of that? I mean, if you don't have any borders, from your experience as a police officer, Brendan, why do we need to ensure, and I know this feels basic, but nonetheless, we need to hear it. Why do we need to ensure that we know who is in the country?
Right, because it's a lot of different elements here. But when you have people coming into the country that could be a part of a criminal syndicate, could be a part of MS-13, could be a part of the cartel, they could be smuggling drugs and participating in human trafficking and drug trafficking, all of the above, and then they have no identity here. Right, most American citizens, you can follow up with them, you can find their address,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, their cell phone bill. Like we have some investigatory processes that we do. You get a person that come over here that's an illegal alien, they're not traceable. They have no fingerprints, they have no record, they have no social security number. I mean, they could come over here and commit a plethora of different crimes, and we would never be able to find them. And here's another thing that's really dangerous, and it's not just the criminal element, but the people who come over here that do not have citizenship, that do not have, I would say, the safety that American citizens have. I noticed this when I was a cop. People would come over here. Of course, they believe that they want opportunities, and this is the land of opportunity. But when they get raped or when they get assaulted, when things go wrong, they don't call the police. And so they become perpetual victims because they're afraid of getting deported.
I was talking to a woman once, it's kind of a crazy story, on a plane, but she was from Texas, and she had young kids and I have young kids. And she was talking about how hard it was to find babysitters in Texas because she said, it's so important that you make sure that someone is a U.S. citizen. The danger being that if your kids are ever in trouble, if there's ever any kind of incident, there is such a fear among the immigrant population that is undocumented, the illegals that are here. They are afraid to make the necessary phone calls. And so she said this is a really big issue for moms in Texas. Like, make sure that, the babysitter's legal, because they may not call the police when in danger. And so it just, as you tell that story, it kind of reminds me of that. Look, there's the law of unintended consequences. We see that kids are being exploited coming into this country, and they're coming alone because of the way these policies work. None of it is good for them. None of it is good for us. Look, we're a country of immigrants. We do welcome people, but isn't there a better way to do this, Brandon?
Right. And we're a country of legal immigrants. We have laws for a reason. And I think it's a better way to do this. Listen, we don't want to lie to these people or give the false perception that they can just come here and everything is going to be welcome and they have all these opportunities. See, when the Mexican cartel or the coyotes, they sell these people a nightmare, right? I mean, and dressed as a dream. They
Right.
say all you have to do is get to the border and everything is going to be okay. Hey, the trek there is safe, is paved. We'll get you there safely. No, they don't. They rape these women when they come over here. They traffic the kids when they come over here. People spend ungodly amounts of money to send their family in hopes that they will make it to America. They take that money, they hold the family ransom, they do all kinds of things to these people. It is unfair and unreasonable for people to have to go through that. Then they get here, and you're not just gonna just be in this country. Some people get deported. Some kids don't have parents, they have to be in facilities. It's not what they
No, it's
presented as.
inhumane. It's
And
inhumane.
there's a better way to do this, right? I mean, we have to cap our immigration and say, okay, we're allowing X amount of people to come into our country. And when we bring them here, we provide them with resources and opportunities so that they're not flying under the radar.
You know, we
And
could
I
be
think that's
strategic about it, couldn't we? I mean, we could say, you know what, we need nurses right now, or we need, IT people, or we need this, or we need that. And we could say, okay, here's the deal, here's the quota, go ahead and apply. And then we could say, okay, not everybody has to have a PhD, right? Not everybody has to be a trained nurse. We need people that are just people that are hungry to work, right? I mean, there's lots of things, but what you're talking about is actually having a system which does not exist. It's chaos.
and these politicians have a vested interest in it being chaos
Yeah.
because, like you had mentioned before, the Democrats at first they wanted a border. Listen, we got a border wall. Somebody paid for it before Trump was ever thinking about running for office. So we have those things in place. But the thing is that they've made this a political issue because they have to disagree with the other side.
I know.
If
And
Donald Trump,
that's why it became a 2016 thing. Like, you go back, Barack Obama was not for open borders. I mean, come on. This is all new and all political. And that's what really irritates me. Just quickly, because look, you have become a huge sensation in the digital world, right? And now you have the radio show, which is a little bit more, mainstream, but in the broadcast radio, but you've got this huge YouTube channel. You're big on social media. Any advice to Tucker Carlson, who's about to embark on what you have done?
well, I think Tucker Carlson got it figured out. I thought it was very smart and strategic that he went with Twitter. And because people may not understand this, and I'll explain it real quick, all of us are capitalists at heart. And when you look at somebody like Tucker Carlson, he's going from pretty much being owned by Fox News. And I knew that he was not going to go into a situation where he would be owned again, which means that people silence his voice, meaning he had to split revenue and all of these things. I guarantee you, he went with Elon Musk and made a deal. I bet he has equity.
Oh, Elon said no. Elon said no, but I'm betting you anything. Elon appreciates, well, I know, but the intellect. By the way, Tucker's a really smart guy. And I think that Tucker can help Elon as he tries to attract more content, right? More personalities to the platform and figures out how to monetize it. I think that Tucker would be a great asset from that
1,000%.
perspective.
There has to be a future investment, right? There's no way in the world that you are one of the largest, I guess, personalities in the country politically. You come to a platform and bring millions of people, which builds the equity of Twitter, and there's no conversation about how to build together. I highly
You don't
doubt.
believe it. Hey, I always said Twitter needed Trump way more than Trump needed Twitter. I mean, Twitter was basically left for dead. And then along came Donald Trump and he was running. And I was like, gosh, he ought to be like paid a massive fee, like because he's on their platform and suddenly making Twitter relevant again. And, maybe there's an opportunity there indeed for well, Elon took over that spot too. I would just say that when Trump left, Twitter became exciting because of Elon Musk. And so there's an opportunity for sure, I think, for Tucker. And I think it's cool. Like I've been in that world too. I used to do the show opposite Tucker on the little redheaded stepchild network, the Fox Business Network. That was still, we got a great tune in, but I'll tell you, Brandon, like being a free agent, it's a great, great feeling. It really is. And I think Tucker's going to love it every single minute of it.
1,000%. And I'm sure you know more about the media world, Fox world than I do. But yeah, I mean, some people are entrepreneurs at heart, and some people have that in them that they cannot be held down by anybody's arbitrary opinions or restrictions. Like I'm a free agent. I've been this way forever. And so
It's the
I don't
only
want
way to
anybody
go.
telling me what I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I'm me. I know what's best for me. I know what's best for my future, and God has given me a path, and I'm gonna take that path. I'll partner with people,
Yep.
but I'm not underneath anybody
Exactly.
because it's just more freedom that way, and it's better in a capitalistic way as well.
Here, here. I'm so with you. I wish I had known that years ago. But you grow up watching the evening news, and you like, what is this thing called YouTube or any? That was, you grow up in a generation where you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is the path, and then you wake up and you're like, wait a second. Like it's just all so anyway, that was my moment. Tucker's having that moment. You, sir, were very smart because you had that moment very early on. Anyway, thank you for being here today. Go check out his YouTube channel, Officer Tatum. Make sure you check out his book. You wrote a whole book, by the way, on policing, which we didn't even have a chance to get to. And of course, you have the Salem radio show as well. You are everywhere. We thank you for being here today.
Well, God bless you, Trish, and thank you for having me on.
You bet. Anytime.